Hello and welcome to the Ohio Arts Council's Rife Gallery. This is a DIY Friends and Family workshop for the exhibition Sequence with artist Elaina Workley. Today, we're going to explore accessible printmaking as an extension of the exhibition. We'll hear first from the artist, then gather our materials and work through the project step by step. There will be dedicated pause points in the video, but please work at your own pace and use this video as you need. All right, welcome, Elaina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Um, I am a local printmaker to Columbus, Ohio. Originally from Northeast Ohio and migrated down here to go to CCAD. I was raised in a household that fostered my creativity, so that really took off once I got into art-based classes and discovered printmaking again, and how that kind of clicked for my creative mindset. Um, so when I work through my um, own work, I work a lot based on my place and my space. I am focused on bringing in where I'm at emotionally as well as where I'm at physically into it and sharing that with the reader to connect on their own level of possibly the same space being like either the Midwest or different emotions. I also use a lot of visual imagery that's based in Victorian artistry, so a lot of decorative in fine art, kind of mixing the two to be observational and communicative. Um, and yeah, I'm really just trying to connect myself and other people through my work. Uh, so for materials, and medium, I work mainly in printmaking with a drawing focus throughout all of that. I use anything from lino cuts to silkscreen, intaglio, and then further manipulate it with different inking techniques, paper techniques like a la poupe, chincolet, gold leaf, and more. Really just playing and mixing material. But yeah, so what we'll be working with today is dry points, which is a very basic introduction, a handshake with intaglio that you can do at home. Etching means to engrave or eat away at something. Typically, this is done with copper and acid, which you obviously cannot do at home. But today we'll be using a thin piece of plastic that you can get from a fruit container or a salad container and really reuse that material at home with a hard drawing instrument to etch into that material. And yeah, so you're going to gather your materials all listed here. Um, you can follow through all of that, but really you're just going to be looking for a nice paper, this Akua ink, which is really good to use at home because it cleans up with water and soap, a specific Akua wiping fabric that's going to help you with your inking, drawing materials, cleaning materials, um, and mainly a pasta maker as well, because that's going to be your printing press through this process. Your etching needle is going to be your hard drawing material and your registration things, as well as a tray of water for soaking your paper. So feel free to pause now and gather all those materials. Um, and then, yeah, you'll also need these ones as well. A white towel for blotting your wet paper, glass palette, palette knives, razor for cleaning up, and so on. Um, so the techniques you'll be learning today are intaglio style inking. So all those materials will help you with that. You're going to be carding on and carding off ink, which is very specific to intaglio that you can use later down the line if you choose to revisit this again. You'll learn how to print with wet paper to really get into all those deep lines we etch into the plastic, paper blotting for working with that wet paper technique. You'll be learning how to print with a pasta maker, which you can use later on down the line with other printing techniques at home. And you'll be really trusting yourself to play today and go with the flow of what this material can hold for you. So set up your station at home, set up an area that really allows you to work with what you'll be doing today. Have yourself enough room to really spread out, but also have a good setup where you're really in the mood to do this. You'll be setting up a blotting station. As you can see in this image, we worked from blotting to printing. So you kind of want a clean area with your water and your towels to blot the paper, move on to an inking area and have that set up there for you, and then have a pasta maker set up on the end of your table so you can crank it through and clamp it onto your table. Yeah. So you'll start etching. Once you have all your materials gathered, feel free to pause and then come back here with your image, your drawing etching needle, and a piece of plastic. You're going to have the image you want to trace, place your plastic sheet under that so you can see it through the plastic and trace it well, or just go for it straight on the plastic, and you're going to use your needle to etch into the plastic. You're really focusing on high contrast and bold lines. You're not going to get a gradient image. You're going to get really that sharp line quality and really focus on that. And that's going to be where your strengths are in this printing process. If you're having a hard time seeing what's going on, that's where that Sharpie is going to come in, where you can draw on the plate and really see where your line is. Cool. Next, you're going to go on to blotting your paper. Once that image is ready, that's going to be getting ready, your paper ready for printing. So once you've let your paper soak for 30 minutes to a half hour, 30 minutes or so, sorry, you will remove it from the water, letting it drip off the corner. Blot it between the paper towels until it's not like soaking wet anymore, but you do still want it to be wet so it can get into all those nooks and crannies. You'll get your ink out of your container and kind of warm it up a little bit on your palette. And then you'll get a piece of chipboard or cardboard, or chipboard, ink it on your plate, really pushing it around into all those nooks and crannies, making sure it covers your plate entirely. Then you'll go in and try to card off some of that excess ink, and then go in with your wiping fabric. Really get it in there and start wiping off your ink until your image will look lighter and you'll see your ink in all those nooks and crannies, but you don't want a lot of ink just sitting on the surface. Just be careful not to over wipe or anything like that. You'll kind of figure it out once you see your prints on the other side of it. So you're going to go ahead and place on your registration you've made, you're going to place your plate with the ink side up, place your paper down on top of it, and you're going to have that go through the pasta maker. So your ink will be facing up on the plate, your board will be behind it with foam, paper face down, and you may need a buddy with this because I printed it by myself, but it's a little bit of a struggle. So you'll just need to make sure that nothing's moving. So kind of really pinch the plate and the paper until the pasta maker grabs it and crank it through the pasta press. Your first inking and print will be very light because you're working with a plate that has nothing on it. But the more prints you do, the more that ink will build up, the more you'll get used to the inking itself, and you'll be good to go. So these are some of the prints from our workshop. As you can see on all of them from left to right, or at least in this top row, they were very light at first, then they really developed that contrast and that deep, rich line that we're looking for once the ink really builds up on that plate. You can also play with the inking in general on this down here in the grassy weed prints. The person from the workshop was really playing with like how much ink she wanted on the plate, how she wanted that final result to look. So it doesn't have to be like very by the books, high contrast line. You can really have some haze and fog on there if that's what you're looking for. It's really up to you and to play around with. So yeah, thanks so much. And I hope you enjoy and have some fun making prints at home.
All right. Thank you again for joining us for this DIY Friends and Family Workshop led by Elaina as a part of our programming for the exhibition sequence. I'd like to give a special thank you to Elaina for the generosity of her time and talent, to the curator, Christine DePiro Abbott, as well as to the Ohio Arts Council's board, the Ohio legislature, and the governor, all who support the Ohio Arts Council, this great space, and of course, Ohio artists. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.